Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Just completely baffled by a child's reaction.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe a preschooler having a total meltdown over, I don't know, the wrong color cup. Or a student just flat out refusing to do something that seems simple.
Yep, happens all the time.
And in that moment, it's so easy to think, why? Why are they being so difficult? Maybe even, are they just trying to push my buttons?
It's a really common feeling, that frustration, and often it really comes down to, well, a misunderstanding of what's actually happening for that child.
Right. And that's what we're diving into today, isn't it? Trying to get under the surface, understand, and really support young kids with autism.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some of those core areas, things like self-regulation, social interaction, play, even sensory integration, how these things shape their world, and importantly, how we can best respond.
And we're drawing from a fantastic guide for this right from the start. What I love about it is how it weaves together the professional know-how with, the real on-the-ground experience of a parent.
It's such a powerful combination. Tony Atwood, the psychologist, he actually calls it the manual that parents need. High praise.
That really says something. So our goal here is to give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to these really effective evidence-based strategies.
Yeah, basically boiling down that manual so you're well informed. Because honestly, neurodiversity isn't niche anymore. It's becoming, well, more typical. The CDC stats from 2016 showed 1 in 59 kids overall.
And even higher for boys, right? 1 in 37.
That's right. And that was up from 2012 figures. It shows this is a growing part of our reality.
And when we misunderstand things in these early years, consequences can be really significant. I mean, think about this: preschoolers being expelled 3 times more often than older kids.
It's staggering.
And kids with disabilities in school getting suspended or expelled at twice the rate of others. That just highlights why getting this right from the start is so crucial. It's not just about behavior, it's about their whole trajectory.
Absolutely. To really get a feel for the core challenges, maybe we can start with a story. Henry's story.
Okay.
He was diagnosed with mild autism around age 5, and by all accounts, a really bright, funny, kind kid, great memory, asked big questions.
Sounds like a great kid, but
But his family really struggled day to day. Despite all those positives, Henry had immense difficulty with self-regulation. His nervous system was just kind of easily overwhelmed, overreactive,
so small things could trigger big reactions. Anger, frustration.
sometimes even aggression, yeah. Wasn't coming from a bad place, but the feelings were just too big for him to manage.
So if it's not defiance, like we talked about,
Yeah.
how should we think about these behaviors? What's really driving them?
That's the key shift in perspective. These aren't usually acts of defiance. They're more like maladaptive strategies. It's
Sure.
the child's way, often the only way they know, to cope with overwhelming sensations or immense frustration.
Okay, explain that a bit more. Maladaptive strategies.
So, think about Henry pushing another child. It might look aggressive, but maybe his body is actually craving deep pressure, that sensory input. Or maybe he's trying desperately to escape a smell that feels physically painful to him, or a noise that's just excruciating. His reaction looks like acting out, but it's really self-preservation.
And that can kick off a really tough cycle, can't it? If, say, the school responds with a very rigid, zero-tolerance approach.
Oh, definitely. Or labels the child as a danger. That just ramps up the anxiety for everyone. The child feels misunderstood and unsafe, the parents get stressed.
And that stress inevitably feeds back to the child, making it even harder for them to regulate. Like
Yeah.
Henry's meltdown over washing his hands before lunch.
Exactly. It seems small, right? But for him, the feeling of wet hands was intensely aversive, plus he was hungry. Put those together. Boom.
Or maybe just a simple adjustment, like letting him use a hand wipe he had.
Could have avoided the whole thing. It just shows how flexibility can make such a difference. It reminds me of Barry Prison's idea.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about autism sometimes being understood as a disability of trust.
A disability of trust. How so?
The idea is that these children struggle to trust their own bodies, which send confusing or overwhelming signals. They struggle to trust the world, which can feel unpredictable and harsh. And they struggle to trust other people who might misunderstand or react negatively.
Wow. That reframes things completely. It's not about being stubborn. It's about feeling fundamentally unsafe.
Precisely. It's a really helpful lens.
And that must take so much pressure off parents too, right? Because there's often this push for academics even really early on.
Huge pressure. But as Henry's parents realized, you have to build the foundation first. Those social and emotional self-regulation skills, they're everything.
Like they said, all the phonics lessons
Right.
would be useless without that foundation.
Exactly. You can't learn effectively if you're constantly overwhelmed or anxious. So if anxiety is often the root cause, what's the first practical step we can take?
Where do we start?
Validation. Simple, but powerful. Acknowledging the child's feelings, even if they seem illogical to us.
Why is that so important?
Because for a child who struggles with that disability of trust, hearing, I see you're feeling upset, or that noise sounds like it really bothered you, it builds a bridge. It tells them their experience is real and seen. It shifts them from defense to maybe being a bit more open.
It's disarming.
Totally. And right from the start has great examples, like Tiana and the iPad. Big struggles transitioning away from it.
Common problem.
So her parents made a fun book, just pictures of other things she liked to do. When iPad time was up, they'd look at the book together. It helped her choose something else calmly, gave her some control back.
That's clever. Instead of just taking it away.
Yeah, or Ethan, the little guy who hated circle time. Instead of forcing him, his teacher made a special listening spot nearby. Put some fidget toys there.
So he could still be part of it, but on his own terms.
Exactly. He could watch, feel safe, and eventually he started joining in. Forcing him would have just spiked his anxiety. It's a huge mindset shift for adults.
It really is. And that brings up the power of visuals, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. Many autistic children are strong visual thinkers. Pictures, schedules, visual rules, they provide clarity.
So like instead of just saying sit nicely, you have a picture of a child sitting at the table.
Precisely. Or a picture schedule for the morning routine. Get dressed, eat breakfast, brush teeth, each step visually laid out. It removes the verbal processing load and the uncertainty.
Makes sense. And choice boards with pictures for activities. Or even carrying a picture of where you're going next, like the playground.
All brilliant strategies. They reduce that what's happening next. Anxiety that can be so paralyzing. It gives them predictability.
Okay, so visuals are key. What about planning and organizing, especially for things like, say, art projects or writing that need fine motor skills? Those can be tough.
Yeah, really tough sometimes. So, again, be proactive. Before starting, maybe review coping skills. Remind them they can say, I need a break.
Instead of waiting for the frustration to build.
Exactly. Offer choices within the task, lace or glitter. Provide extra help if needed. And crucially,
What's that?
praise the effort, not just the outcome. Wow, you're working so hard on that. That builds resilience.
That's a great point. Effort over perfection. And building in predictability generally, right? Previewing what's coming up.
Absolutely paramount. Think about it yourself. If someone suddenly told you, right, your whole office is moving downstairs due to construction starting now, how would you feel?
Annoyed, stressed, confused.
Right. No warning, no plan. That's often how unexpected changes feel to autistic kids. So previewing activities, rules, expectations, it gives them that mental map, reduces the shock factor.
Especially for transitions, which are notoriously difficult.
Yes. Change is hard. So techniques like sandwiching, putting a tricky task like Paige's doctor visit between two things she enjoys can help.
Makes the less fun part more palatable.
Exactly. And visual timers. Seeing how much time is left for an activity or until the next one starts provides concrete structure.
And what about when they just get overwhelmed? The need for breaks.
So important. And we need to frame breaks correctly. They're not punishments. They're designated break spots.
Yeah, a quiet corner.
Yeah, at home or school.
Ah.
A comfy spot, maybe with some calming items. The goal is teaching the child to recognize when they need downtime.
So they learn to ask for it, maybe with a word or even a visual break card.
Precisely. It empowers them, gives them a tool for self-regulation instead of just melting down.
Okay, that's really practical. Now, what about fostering collaboration?
Yeah.
Getting them involved in solving problems.
This is where Ross Greene's collaborative problem-solving model is fantastic. It flips the script from imposing solutions to working with the child.
How does that work?
It starts with empathy. The
Right.
first step is just, what's up? Genuinely trying to understand the child's perspective on the problem. No judgment.
Okay, listen first.
Then, the adult shares their concern related to the problem. And finally, the crucial part, the invitation step.
Which is?
I wonder what we could do about this problem. It invites the child to be part of finding a solution that works for everyone.
Like Raymond, who wouldn't put on his swimsuit.
Yeah. Instead of just saying, put it on, his teacher asked, what's up?
Mhm.
Turns out he wasn't being defiant. He was cold and also anxious about a scary billboard he'd seen on the way to school.
Wow, completely different reasons than you might assume.
Exactly. And together, they figured out a solution wearing a wetsuit vest and talking about the billboard. Win-win. It shows how often the real issue is hidden.
So teaching them about feelings is part of this too. helping them understand and express what's going on inside.
Absolutely fundamental. You need to explicitly teach them to define feelings, identify them in themselves and others, and even gauge the intensity.
How do you make feelings less abstract?
Tools help, like an incredible 5-point scale.
Yeah.
1 is calm, 5 is furious. Or a feelings thermometer, it makes it concrete.
And modeling helps too, I assume. Adults talking about their own feelings.
Hugely important. Saying, I'm feeling a bit frustrated right now. I need to take a deep breath. It shows them how it's done.
Now, speaking of intense feelings, meltdowns versus temper tantrums. That distinction feels really important.
Critical. They look similar sometimes, but they're fundamentally different. A tantrum is often goal-oriented. The child wants something, a meltdown. The child has lost control. Completely.
So trying to reason with them or use typical discipline during a meltdown?
Pointless. Often counterproductive. They aren't choosing the behavior, they're overwhelmed. They might not even register your reaction. It just has to run its course.
So you need a different plan for meltdowns.
Definitely. A pre-agreed crisis plan focusing on safety, reducing stimulation, and just writing it out calmly. Discipline comes later, if at all, once they're regulated.
That's a huge shift. Okay, let's pivot slightly to the social world. This is often a big area of challenge, right?
Incredibly complex for many autistic kids. They might miss subtle cues, body language, tone of voice, facial expressions.
And that brutal honesty we sometimes hear about.
Often comes from not understanding unwritten social rules like white lie or social niceties. They're just stating facts as they see them, not trying to be hurtful.
And that links to theory of mind, doesn't it? Difficulty seeing things from another person's perspective.
Exactly, like Rachel getting mad at David for bumping her. She feels the bump, the hurt, but might not grasp that it was an accident, that he tripped. She can't easily step into his shoes mentally.
It's hard to imagine navigating the world without that intuition.
It makes social interactions incredibly confusing. And conversations themselves, they're tricky.
How so?
Well, a good conversation is like a tennis game, right? Back and forth, serve and return.
Okay.
But someone like Sean, the little boy obsessed with Star Wars, might just serve monologue about plot details without noticing if the other person is interested or even following along. There's no return.
Right, it's one-sided.
Yeah.
So how do we help them learn these social skills, this social thinking?
Explicit teaching helps, making the unwritten rules well-written, concrete, like a social rule. Most people don't want you to touch them. Simple, direct.
And emphasizing asking first.
Yes. Or another rule, everybody wants to have fun. This leads to the eagle strategy, teaching the child to use their sharp focus to check if everyone in the game seems happy, not just them.
That's a neat idea, using their focus as a strength.
Exactly. And this idea of social files, consciously storing info about people, like Eric doesn't like chocolate, but he loves Legos, building that mental database helps them connect.
It's like giving them a framework for something others pick up instinctively.
Precisely. And for conversation skills, you can literally use the tennis analogy. Pass a ball back and forth while talking. Person holding the ball speaks.
Makes it very concrete.
And role-playing. Practice scenarios. What could you ask Sarah about her trip to Florida? Or provide simple scripts for greetings. Hi, Grandma, how are you? Or joining play. Can I play too?
Takes the guesswork out, builds confidence.
Absolutely. And building that confidence often happens through play itself. Play isn't just fun, it's where so much crucial development happens.
Cognitive, social, emotional.
All of it. But play can be really hard for autistic kids.
Why is that?
Several reasons. Sometimes it's egocentric play. Friend knocks down his friend's blocks because he thinks it's funny, assuming they will too. He doesn't realize they have a different feeling about it.
Back to that theory of mind challenge.
Yep. Or limited cognitive processing. Daniel gets overwhelmed in a fast game like tag because he can't track all the movement and instructions at once. He's not being uncooperative, he's overloaded.
So how do we help them engage and play successfully?
Number 1, meet them where they are. Like Mrs. Smith with Jonathan and his cars. He loved cars, so she joined his play first.
Didn't try to force him into something else?
Nope. Followed his lead, then gently modeled, adding a little imaginative twist, making the cars talk, creating scenarios, built connection first, then expanded the play.
That sounds much more effective.
And you can use pretend play very strategically. A toy car stuck in the mud. Great for problem-solving practice, making dolls talk, practicing social interaction. Attributing feelings to toys, the teddy looks sad, helps build emotional understanding.
Using their interests as a bridge.
Exactly. And facilitating play with peers is huge. Sometimes setting up a buddy system with a flexible peer.
Can work better than an adult trying to orchestrate.
Often, yes. A peer's invitation feels more natural, less like a demand. It builds real social confidence.
And for structured games like musical chairs.
Preview, preview, preview. Explain the rules clearly beforehand. Maybe use a visual list or even a little comic strip showing the steps.
Even plan for what happens when you're out.
Yes. Knowing what to do when you're out reduces the anxiety of losing. Predictability makes participation possible.
That clarity seems to be a running theme.
It really is. And finally, in play, think about sensory input. Is the child unresponsive, looking bored?
You may need to amp them up.
Yeah. Use an animated voice, maybe some bouncing on an exercise ball first. Get their energy up if they're overstimulated, bouncing off the walls.
You need to calm things down.
Soften your voice, maybe offer gentle pressure. Try a calming activity like Play-Doh. You can even use playful obstruction, deliberately putting Mr. Potato Head's nose where his ear goes.
To playfully challenge them and invite engagement.
Exactly. Make it a fun problem to solve. It draws them in.
Okay, this all links beautifully to our final topic.
Yeah.
Making sense of the senses. Sensory processing disorder, SPD.
Yes, this is such a crucial lens. SPD is common alongside autism, and it fundamentally affects how kids organize, interpret, and respond to sensory information from their bodies and the world.
It really changes how you might see certain behaviors.
Totally. Think of Cole at the beach. For him, it was a mix of amazing and awful.
How so?
He loved the sensory input of crashing waves, that deep pressure, but the feeling of cold sunscreen, horrible, hot sand, unbearable. Wet swimsuit clinging, torture. His outbursts weren't random. They were direct responses to sensory overload or aversion.
So what looked like a tantrum was actually a sensory meltdown.
Precisely. And SPD's impact is broad. You might see over or under responsiveness to touch, sound, sight, movement, maybe impulsivity, maybe low energy.
Physical signs, too, like clumsiness or motor skill delays.
Yes, poor coordination, issues with body awareness, and cognitively and emotionally difficulty following directions, frustration, needing sameness, mood swings, even sleep problems can all be linked back to sensory processing challenges.
It affects so much. So how do we tailor strategies based on a child's specific sensory profile?
Good question. If a child is generally over-responsive, like Hector, who hated unexpected touch or loud noises.
You focus on reducing overload.
Right. Clear pathways, minimize background noise, give warnings before touching, preview potentially overwhelming situations, create a calmer, more predictable sensory environment.
And for the under-responsive child, like Sophie, who seemed disengaged.
You need to amp up the input. More vigorous activity beforehand, use a more animated voice, make activities really engaging and stimulating to meet their higher threshold for sensory information.
And then there are the sensory seekers, like Brian, always moving, crashing into things.
For them, you need to provide appropriate ways to get that input they crave. Bumpy seat cushions, weighted lap pads, fidget tools, planned heavy work like pushing or pulling things, sensory activities like slime or swings.
Channeling that need constructively.
Exactly. It's not about stopping the seeking. It's about meeting the need safely and appropriately.
And what about accommodating motor skill difficulties that often go along with SPD?
For gross motor, make it fun. Obstacle courses, animal walks, bear crawls, crab walks. For fine motor, things like Play-Doh build hand strength. Use adapted tools like special pencil grips. Make pre-writing fun, draw in sand or shaving cream. Reduce the pressure.
Takes the frustration out of it.
Hopefully. And that brings us back to something fundamental. Listening. When a child says, this is too hard or I can't.
We need to believe them.
Yes. Or at least validate the feeling behind the words. Don't just push for compliance. Acknowledge the struggle. It sounds like this feels really tough right now. That validation can help them calm down enough to maybe try again later or accept help. It builds that trust.
It all comes back to trust, doesn't it?
It really does. So recapping this whole new lens, it's about seeing challenging behaviors not as deliberate defiance, but often as communication. Attempts to cope with feeling overwhelmed or misunderstood.
That shift in perspective is huge. It changes everything about how we respond.
And all these strategies, the validation, the visuals, the structure, the sensory supports, the collaborative problem solving, they're all building blocks for that foundational skill. Self-regulation.
Which, as we said, is the bedrock for everything else. Learning, relationships, coping with life.
Absolutely. Without it, it's a constant struggle.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
How about this? Instead of always asking the child to adapt to our world and our demands, what if we focused more on adapting our demands to their needs?
Meeting them where they are.
Exactly. By doing that, by understanding their unique sensory and social reality, we help them feel safe, secure, more in control. And that feeling of safety is the foundation for growth, for connection, for everything.
It's not about lowering expectations, but changing the path to meet them.
Precisely. And realizing that building these skills,
Yeah.
fostering that trust, it's not a quick fix. It's a journey for the child and for us as the adults supporting them, a journey of mutual growth, really.